Contributions are
Mrs. Indra Malappu, Chairperson and Chief Executive of EDB, to deliver the opening remarks.
Sector among so many service sectors, Mr. Saman Malya. I'm very glad that we were able to continue with this program because this was something that we started, which was, I think the initial study by EDB was done in 2013, and with the assistance of the International Trade Center on Wellness Tourism, and for a period there was a lull, and now actually due to the work of the Export Development Board together with the stakeholders in this sector have been able to get wellness tourism as a buzzword. So I think we should take advantage of the momentum and keep going so that we bring back wellness tourism as a key sector within the tourism sector. Now one would wonder why wellness tourism has been taken separately under the National Export Strategy, which has been drawn up with a number of stakeholders. I see some of the faces here who were participants at all those meetings because we felt that when you took wellness tourism, it goes beyond the tourism that we are talking of. I think we should be very proud that last week under Lonely Planet, Sri Lanka was considered within the first 10 countries for a tourist to visit. But I still have a little question on that, Stella, because Lonely Planet can be also related to some of the backpackers and things who come to Sri Lanka, because when you see what the rating Lonely Planet has given on it, it is on the adventure tourism, the beaches, you know, the standard things that we have been looking at. But I think all of us here engaged in the wellness tourism sector should take it beyond that, so that Sri Lanka does not only enjoy between a $50 to $170 per pack rate, but we take it to the 350 rate, and we have quality tourists who come to Sri Lanka not to only appreciate the beaches and the sand and the teas of Sri Lanka, but go beyond and appreciate a 5,000-year-old what would I say, a heritage of Ayurveda that we had in Sri Lanka. We have a few companies. I usually don't like to individually talk about a company. I think at this moment I must talk of Spa Sri Lanka, who has taken Sri Lanka to that other end of branding a product internationally and opening their outlets in a number of international markets. I think all of us here should try and brand our products and get to that. Then there's Siddha Lepa and a few others, St. Wellness, who have opened their clinics outside, because this is not only a treatment with the people, the holistic treatment that we give. It is using Ayurveda, it is using our meditation that we have heard from Buddhism and Hinduism coming to us. And as Stella said, I had a meeting with her as a follow-up last evening, and she said two keywords which I took from you, Stella. She said Sri Lanka has a healing environment. Healing environment. Let's forget the rest of it, but let's look at Ayurveda and the general environment of our country. And she referred to it as a healing environment, because I think the last 2 weeks she was taken right down Sri Lanka and selected Ayurveda resorts and spas, and that selection was based on the foreign exchange that has been earned by each of these organizations. I think we visited 7 or 8 of them. So one might wonder how those firms or those hotels were selected, but it was purely on the declaration of the foreign exchange earnings that they had having extended this service. And the other word she said was, she spoke about the human resources, incredible human resources in Sri Lanka. So those are two things I picked up from her, and those are two things that as Sri Lankans we should be proud and take it forward, because this incredible Sri Lankan quality of human beings is something that we have also adopted in promoting our IT sector. We have got the logo onto it and branding it as Island of Ingenuity. Saman is a part of it, so I'm sure he can take that forward with the Ayurveda and our wellness tourism also. And in wellness tourism also, there will be two aspects. You will have the medical aspect of it, and the other aspect of where people want to detox, to de-stress, the wellness part of it. So I would imagine all of us will have maybe in the same case the two categories, and some might have it only on this thing of wellness itself. Because in a stressful world, I think Sri Lanka has all those ingredients to de-stress them, to detox them, and give them a whole holistic approach of what wellness tourism is. So I also was with your discussion. I think it is important that all those stakeholders in the wellness tourism get together and form our own association if you don't already have it. Because as a team, as a group, we can be stronger than having our own individual interests. You can have your independence in your own businesses, but as a group, if you get together, you have a better bargaining power, whether it's working with international organizations or even with working with government organizations. I think it is important that you form yourself into a group and actually try to work towards a brand for Sri Lanka's wellness tourism. And EDB will hold hands with you all in forming this association as well as taking the brand forward. We have done similar things for Ceylon cinnamon. Now in Ceylon cinnamon, what we have done is, the first thing we did was we wanted to differentiate ourselves between cinnamon and cassia, because cassia was a very poor substitute of a variety of cinnamon. So we wanted to show there was a distinct difference between Ceylon cinnamon and cassia, and now we have two different HS codes. And we are also promoting it internationally, that there is a definite health properties in Ceylon cinnamon versus the cassia that countries like Indonesia and Vietnam export. So then you can have this brand value to it, and with this brand value also fetch better prices. If anyone goes to Whole Food, let's say one Whole Foods in USA, you have the two different cinnamons. You have cinnamon and you have Ceylon cinnamon. And the identical weight, there's a difference about $2 or $3. So this is how we differentiate ourselves. And we also have given a logo for Ceylon cinnamon similar to that of tea, like the tea brand having the lion logo. We have also extended the lion logo to Ceylon cinnamon, because internationally the lion logo is what has become famous as a result of Ceylon tea. And there are 15 companies who are producing cinnamon in our country, who have good agriculture practices, good manufacturing practices, who are registered, and all of them we have given this logo to put in their marketing material. So similarly, I think we have to get together and have something for wellness tourism. So it is up to Saman and his team, who I must say are utterly passionate about this. He has two excellent officers working, Vajira and Kumudini, who have been working very, very closely with Stella and being able to get the best of what she can. And Stella, this should not be your first visit to Sri Lanka, because I'm so glad. I met her in London, I think in May, when I went for the Commonwealth Chogam meeting. And I must thank Dr. Sena Kankanamade, who unselfishly introduced Stella to me. And it's not a first visit to Sri Lanka, but first visit, in a sense, first visit officially to work with the government organization. So she has a passion for the country. She knows what the country is. And with this introduction, I invited her. I said, Stella, you should come and work with the whole of the sector and give your experience, because she's one of the most experienced people running Wellness Escape, one of the leading UK travel agents. So when a traveller comes to Sri Lanka, what I wanted her to do was, what is the experience a traveller gets? Give your candid opinion. And I said, when she visits the companies, also be very candid, be very frank, and tell us, because we must have a SWOT analysis and develop on our weaknesses, and I think we have done that. She'll be also submitting a report to the EDB on the way forward. So what I request all of us here today is get together, leave everything else aside, leave politics aside, but we have to work for ourselves, you have to work for ourselves, we have to work for our country, and exports, irrespective of what, is key to our country. Because when we have foreign exchange issues in our country, the only way we can take it forward is to earn our own foreign exchange. And I must also thank the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Tourism, who have been working very closely with the EDB on getting the wellness tourism sector on its path. And the National Export Strategy, one of the key sectors, focus sector, is the wellness tourism sector. We have requested a lot of proposals, a lot of assistance in the budget. We wouldn't know how it would be, but I'm sure anyone will be convinced as to why anyone should support the wellness tourism sector. So the EDB goes on. I have a very professional team, irrespective of who leads it or what. The team is ready to help you. So it is up to you all to make use of the professionalism of EDB and work along with them, work along with the rest of the government departments. And I would like to see these sectors within the next 2 years doubling its foreign exchange and all of us being recognized and having to promote our brands. There's a number of schemes EDB has already implemented on promoting homegrown brands, on promoting productivity, technology, which is called a market access scheme, which is already existing. So please make use of it. The director, Indu Alahapur, is responsible for that scheme at the moment, so you can contact her. 2 weeks ago, we also got the cabinet to approve a scheme for innovation and R&D, and I think that is one thing that this sector should use on the innovation and R&D, where we give up to at different levels. Everything comes in the form of a matching grant, because we firmly believe that whatever we give there should be a commitment on the part of the private sector. So nothing is free, but it is a grant, it's a matching grant. You put in 5 million, the EDB puts in 5 million. But the other scheme I was talking about, the innovation and R&D, goes up to 25 million or up to 50 million. So those will be for solid programs where you can do research with a government organization like the SLSI or with the ITI, the National Council, or even with the university. And it's not necessary that it is a university within Sri Lanka. If you want to do research outside Sri Lanka, you also have the benefit of doing the research. And I must also say a special vehicle that we have formed, which is called the Rubber Consortium. The rubber exporters have got together, they have formed a consortium, and in fact they are going to make use of this, because sometimes individually you can't do big research, but as a group you can make use of that research. So think of working as stakeholders, as teams together to develop the wellness tourism sector. And Stella, I'm extremely happy that you have been here and that you will help us along with how to get us to the next step, making use of all your contacts internationally, or the welcome material you have with us. And I wish all of you a very successful day. Be candid, speak to her. I mean, it has to be a very interactive session that you all have with Stella. Make use of the opportunity that she is with us. Thank you very much.
Strategy reality. With that, I would like to invite our distinguished speaker, Ms. Stella Pati, and let me introduce her first. Ms. Stella has visited over 60 countries and spoken at a major director of Wellbeing SPL and director of Queen of Retreats based in London, UK. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome.
So, I'm absolutely thrilled to be here. It's very exciting for me to have this opportunity to visit your beautiful country, and I'd like to thank the EDB for bringing me here and giving me that opportunity. I'd also like to thank the people who had me stay with them, share their vision with me, share their expertise. It was very fascinating. It was encouraging. I realised it was a really good foundation for promoting wellness tourism in Sri Lanka. And all the kind of basic needs of cleanliness, professionalism are all here. So it has been a really, really lovely opportunity. And thank you, Indira. Thank you to all of you who have taken part in allowing me to be here. So I'm going to talk today about kind of the product positioning and marketing to the international traveller. So we're going to cover why the rise of wellness, the trends, big trends around wellness. We're going to do a little exercise in between, so we're going to make it interactive. I really want this to be an interactive experience, so please feel free to ask me questions at the end, and at certain parts I'll stop and ask you to contribute anything that you'd like to, because you don't really want to be sitting here listening to me talk for 2 hours. It would be a little bit boring. And in between we'll do something physical as well, so keep an open mind. Okay. Oops. Sorry, this computer is not mine, so I'm just trying to work out how to use it. How do we move this along? How do we move it along? By Kundini. This little graphic I have fun with because it's actually me. I'm your typical wellness traveller in the West who's constantly stressed and tries to sit and meditate and instead makes lists in her head about what she has to do. I live a very normal lifestyle in the West of running 100 miles an hour, multitasking, and I'm very indicative of the need for wellness tourism from people overseas. So many, many years ago, 12 years ago, I had an idea to create a wellness type travel company, a tour operator, and I called it Wellbeing Escapes. I really created it for purely selfish reasons because there was no one out there doing that kind of thing, and I really needed it myself. So, and I saw a gap in the market, so I started it. But 12 years ago, Wellbeing Escapes didn't really mean much to many people, so it was quite a confusing term, and people kind of struggled with, well, what is it? What is this thing that you're offering? But I had a gut instinct, and I wanted to kind of pursue that further, so I stuck to my guns. So I struggled financially for the first few years because no one really got the concept. We had a group of clients which I called the early adopters, and they tended to be the most stressed individuals. They were the bankers, the lawyers, all those kind of people who were really in dire need of this type of service. And obviously now the market has grown, my instinct was correct, and it's become a really kind of growth market and a target market. And it's moved beyond those really highly stressed individuals. It's something that's actually quite a trendy thing now, and people really want to experience a wellness type travel experience. I also then, a couple of years ago, invested in another business called the Queen of Retreats, which was founded by a leading journalist in the UK. And Queen of Retreats is a portal, it's a curated portal of the best retreats around the world, where a journalist or an expert will go and review that retreat and write about it. And we also have introduced kind of guest reviews as well. So it's almost, we're building it into a kind of a trip advisor of retreats as a one-stop place for people to go and find information about retreats. And that obviously is largely wellness retreats. And because I've been around a little while and I'm getting older, I've built up some experience, and so I'm asked to speak at a lot of kind of industry events. The main thing about this is the reason I do that, and the reason I'm here actually, is I'm very passionate about growing in this segment. I think it's, and this is a genuine statement, I think it's good for mankind, I really do. I think the old way of holidays, of going away, of overindulging, of drinking and overeating and sitting back doing nothing is really passé, and I think this is the new way to be, and it's good for mankind, but it's also good for the country that's promoting it, which we'll cover a bit later. And now I'm back to my technical challenge. on, sorry, okay. So, how big is, before we start, I did want to say I was really trying hard to come up with some Sinhalese to impress you with when we started, but it is a difficult language, people. So the only words I could come up with, which I love and very quote, is oh and ho. So I'm sorry, that's as far as it goes. Okay, let's start off with the size of the global wellness market. So these figures were brought about by the Global Wellness Institute, and it's staggering. You can see the size. It's 3.7 trillion. This was in 2015. This is the whole market. This isn't just tourism. You can see the tourism part here. See that? Oh, it's not very clear. Anyway, it's around 536 million is the tourism part. It's not clear. This is all kinds of modalities here. So this could be, you know, the beauty industry, wellness practitioners, spa industry. It's all those modalities, and that's actually quite impressive, given that 10 years ago people didn't even know what the word wellness meant. So look at the size of how this market has really grown. It's really quite an impressive figure. And I want to talk about why it's grown. And these are quite obvious, but they're interesting factors. So we'll discuss why they're growing. So the first one, obesity and inactivity. And I love these slides because it just kind of shows the evolution of man and how, you know, the one at the top before the overweight person is our optimum, and how we're kind of going downhill and why now. But here are some key facts about obesity, which are from the World Health Organization, and they're very sobering facts. So, worldwide obesity has nearly doubled since 1980. In 2008, more than 1.4 billion adults who are 20 and older were overweight. Of these, over 200 million men and women were obese. I mean, this is huge. 35% of adults aged 20 and over were overweight in 2008, and 11% were obese. 65% of the world's population live in countries where overweight and obesity kills more people than underweight. I mean, how can we have ended up in this situation? Overweight and obesity are the fifth leading risk of global deaths. At least 2.8 million adults die each year as a result of being overweight and obese. Now, I'm happy to say my travels in Sri Lanka, it's not such a big problem here, so you're obviously doing something about it, but it's certainly in other parts of the world this is huge. Inactivity is another worrying factor, and now they're saying sitting is the new smoking, so if you sit for prolonged periods, it's as damaging as smoking. And again, some key facts from the World Health Organization. 1.4 billion people worldwide do not meet the World Health Organization recommendations on physical activity. And this was published recently in the Lancet Global Health. So it's a real concern, and one of the reasons why we have the rise of the wellbeing trend. Okay, now this is the biggie. It's huge. It's the huge factor, and many of you who already run health resorts will know this, because I'm sure most of you know the people who come and visit you are highly stressed. And stress isn't all bad, you know, some stress is good, it gets us kind of into action and in our fight and flight mode, but there's such a growing number of people who have this ongoing underlying stress that just runs with them all the time, and that's what leads to like chronic health diseases, physical and both mental. So again, the World Health Organization has named stress as the major epidemic of the 21st century. It's huge. And studies in the UK have shown that 4 out of 5 people have stress at all times. That's incredible. And I think one of those reasons is because of our digital devices and our access, being able to be accessed at all times. People can't switch off from work. They can't achieve a work-life balance. They're constantly available, looking at their emails, having that constant thought process about work, and that's one of the main reasons they attributed to this study in the UK. I've got a question for you. Which country do you think in the world has the highest stress levels? Any ideas? Any volunteers? Come on, someone stick their neck out, please. No? Japan, correct, Japan. 60% of people in Japan suffer from high levels of stress. It's just huge. Again, that reflects the work-life balance. These people work a long time, work lots of hours, so Japan is one of those markets who are in benefit and yet need places to go to help resolve their stress levels. Okay. Next one is our reliance on big pharma pharmaceuticals. And that's really about that kind of reactive approach to health. And we see this largely in, again, Western nations, massively in the US, where you see pharmaceuticals actually advertising on television, which I think is outrageous that, people, pharmaceutical companies advertising to potential, consumers buy this too. And there's a famous Canadian immunologist called Dr. John Weinstock, and this is a quote from him. He concluded that the loss of habitat due to urbanisation has caused a massive loss of biodiversity, and this loss of biodiversity impacts our health. Our disconnection from nearby nature is a prime reason why allergies, autoimmune diseases, inflammatory bowel disease, and even some forms of cancer have become epidemics. The same is true for mental disorders such as anxiety and depression. This is because people are not connected to nature. It's just a massive, it's a massive factor in all of this, and it's quite scary because it's quite basic, isn't it? We're here to be part of the universe, part of the earth, part of our natural environment, and we've kind of separated ourselves from that, and we have to reconnect. And again, people are looking for that reconnection when they're traveling and reconnecting with nature. Has everyone heard here of Japanese forest bathing? Yeah? With Japanese forest bathing, there's lots of studies on that about sending people into nature, sending people into forests so that they can feel better. And this is something that actually some spas are introducing in the US, which I think is quite funny. They're kind of selling it as a service. Go and stand in our forest and pay this much so that you can feel better. But it shows if people are willing to pay to go and stand in a forest or spend time in a forest, it shows there's a real need for it. Lack of human connection with each other. If anyone here has been to London, has stood on the tube or sat on the tube, this is what you see. You see people walking down the street like this. It's actually pretty sad, it's hugely worrying, but this is what's happened, and people are just not connecting with each other. I find myself doing it too. It's really quite scary, but sending a quick WhatsApp, texting people, emailing people, that, quick communication rather than actually sitting down and talking to people. We had an intern program in our office, and I can't tell you, this is quite scary. These interns cannot make phone calls. They find, they get a level of anxiety when I ask them to actually pick up the phone and speak to somebody. They say, well, I sent an email. And I say, well, don't send an email, pick up the phone. And there is this huge anxiety about actually communicating on a spoken level or on a face-to-face level. This is, it's a really worrying kind of development of our society right now. And again, what that brings, that kind of lack of connection, brings loneliness. I mean, even if you're around lots of people, you can feel lonely, and that, you know, that also leads to a really a big sense of unwell-being, or, you know, disconnection, which can lead to kind of disease. And the other thing is, it can be proven that power of touch, being touched by someone, whether it's a hug or a tap on the shoulder, or imagine what the benefits of a massage are, can really help with recovery of illness. And again, living in this society where we're glued to our phones or glued to our devices, we've got all these gadgets, but we can't actually interact with each other is quite a big deal. Okay, lack of human connection with spirituality. So again, I'm talking largely the West, and it's not something that you suffer with here, which is, you know, it's hugely refreshing. But in the secular societies that I live in, there's this real disconnection, the disconnection from the lack of meaning of life. And people are really searching for this now. You know, it brings about this kind of secular society which doesn't have any beliefs, brings about a sense of cynicism, a sense of negativity in a way. You know, lots of Europeans are thought of as being cynical. They're always looking at things from a half-glass empty perspective rather than a half-glass full. So it's quite a big deal. And this is all about something called ashram tourism. I don't know if you've heard of ashram tourism, but a lot of the ashrams in India are filled with Westerners who are going to sit there and spend time to reconnect with themselves and look for that larger meaning and find their spirituality, because, you know, the world of rationalism that we live in, that I live in, is again bringing about a real sense of unhealthiness in a way. So this is a big opportunity. Has anyone heard of the book and movie Eat, Pray, Love? Here? Yeah, okay. Eat, Pray, Love was written, it was a book that was written, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago by a famous American writer called Elizabeth Gilbert, and she talked about her travels around the world to basically find herself and love herself, and also find love. And our last part of the book, and it was made into a movie with Julia Roberts actually, where she went to Bali, and she saw a healer in Bali, and she found herself in Bali. She started to love herself, and then she found her soulmate in Bali. That generated so much tourism to Bali after that. That book was written. It had a huge following, and there were thousands of women flocking to Bali to find this particular healer that she wrote about. So again, it shows you that real need for finding oneself. Okay, so we've talked about why the industry has grown. I want to talk about what wellness tourism actually is now, and there's lots of definitions